Alright, so good morning, everyone. My name is Aaron George, and I'm an outreach officer with ChildLine. Um, this is the first of four web series that we're going to be having this week, talking on different topics that are very pertinent to children. And today we're going to be addressing the topic of bullying. But before we go into the live conversation, I'm going to just tell you all a little bit about ChildLine and what we do, how the agency is there to assist you all, and let me apologize for the late start for this video today. Technology once again and its challenges, but nonetheless it all worked out. So who's ChildLine? What's ChildLine? ChildLine is a non-governmental organization that is there to protect young persons and their rights. We have three main services that are available. The first service is called the Helpline. It's available 24/7, and it's a line where we encourage young persons or their parents, teenagers. We want you to call and to express yourself or talk about any concerns that you may be having as it relates to life. There is a misconception that the line is only available for persons who are being abused or for persons who may be experiencing bullying. Yes, while the line is open for persons who would be experiencing those challenges, the line is also open for other reasons. If you just feel bored, or if you want somebody to talk to, or if you feel like you're a bit sad and you just want to share a story about something, you want to talk about your day, or you just need a listening ear, ChildLine is there. Okay, so we have our contact information, which is 800-4321 or 131, which are the numbers for the helpline. And like I said, it is free and it's available 24/7. So today we're going to have a little chat about a very prevalent issue that has been receiving global attention in the last few years, and of course that topic is bullying. In my time with ChildLine, I've probably facilitated the most workshops on bullying. Let's say probably over, I'll say close to 1,000 workshops in bullying have been facilitated already in my time at ChildLine, or possibly even more. So it is a topic that we get a lot of requests for, especially in the school system, where bullying tends to take place among persons and their peers. But today we're going to also not just talk about like bullying that could take place in school, but we also want to touch on bullying that could take place at home, and really understanding the concept of bullying, why it might be so devastating and a problem for our children. So tell me, let me see. So sorry, actually I'll tell you all a little bit more about ChildLine first. Don't forget we also have the outreach unit, which would be the activities that we're currently engaging in. And we also have the counseling unit, which is available. Everything is free of charge, and it's available 24/7. So let me give you two examples. Each day, 10-year-old Seth will be asking his mom for more lunch, asking for more lunch, asking for more lunch money. Yet he seems skinnier as ever. He seemed as if he hasn't been eating, and it actually turned out that someone at school has been taxing him. For those of you who may not be familiar with the term taxing, it's basically where a child is asking another child to take their money, or taking their money from another child. And there are many students who experience this in the schooling system, as well as there are many other children who may be unpopular in school, and because of that, persons post inappropriate things of them on social media, or photos that they won't like, and that could actually have implications for the person and their self-esteem and how they feel. Unfortunately, these things happen daily. It happens around the world, and it happens in a number of situations. So we're just going to raise a little awareness about what is bullying, some types of bullying that may be present. We just want to touch on the effects of bullying, give some tips as to how you can deal with bullying, and we will end the video there. Yeah. So what is bullying? Bullying is essentially when a person is taking advantage of another person, and it does not always have to be that the bully is older or stronger than the victim. Bullying can take place in any form. It could be a parent bullying a child bullying a child could even bully a parent. It is possible. Not often it will happen, but it is possible that this can be the case. And the thing is, bullying can really turn everyday activities, like for children playing, going out into the yard, interacting with their peers, watching themselves in the mirror, it can make those activities seem a bit more tedious, and because of the emotional scars that are left because of the bullying. In some situations, it can involve violent threats, damaging property, or even someone could get hurt seriously. So if you or your child are being bullied, you can do things that will actually help stop it. So one of the first things you have to do is to identify that the bullying is actually taking place. Most kids have been experiencing teasing by siblings or their friends at some point, and it isn't usually harmful when it is done in a playful or friendly or mutual way where both children understand that it is funny. But when teasing becomes hurtful, or it becomes unkind, and it becomes constant, it crosses the line into bullying, and that's where it needs to stop. Now, bullying, what is bullying? Let's give a definition for bullying. Bullying is the intentional tormenting in physical, verbal, or psychological ways. It can range from hitting, shoving, name calling, giving the person threats, mocking, or extorting money, taking away person's possessions, taking advantage of the individual and their beings, manipulating them, and the list goes on. There are many examples of bullying, and they would all fall into several categories. For today, we're going to just make mention of 4 main types of bullying. So the four types that we're going to talk about would be physical bullying, verbal bullying, social bullying, and cyberbullying. What is physical bullying? Physical bullying is the intentional maltreatment or acts that are formed against a child with the intention of hurting them. And it is because it's not something that happens one-off. It happens over and over and over and over again. And that's the thing with bullying. It's important to keep in mind that it is a repeated behavior with the intent to cause harm. Let's say, for example, a student is running in the yard in school, and they bump into one of their friends, and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and the friend turns around and says, "You stupid or what?" While that could be considered a bullying behavior, it isn't necessarily bullying. I'd call it more an aggressive reaction, because you did me something, I did you back, and we both leave it at that. However, bullying would be a little more if one person is setting out to hurt or to take advantage of another person. So let's say today I decide I'm going to go to school and I'm going to pick on Justin and I'm going to call in names, and then the next day I'm going to beat up Brittany and I'm going to pull her hair, and the day after that I empty Samantha's bag and I put garbage in it. Whatever the case may be, with an intent to hurt the person, that is more likely to be considered bullying. So that's physical bullying at the very least. That bullying on the whole. And physical bullying is the hitting, kicking, coughing, slapping, tapping, pelting big stones, taking advantage or hurting them in ways that can make them feel uncomfortable throughout the period of time. You also have verbal bullying, which is where you use your words to hurt someone. So you call them big eye and tit foot and broad mouth, or ugly and duncy and stupid, and the list goes on. And I must say, I have been in schools where the things children call each other, they're quite intense. They're quite intense sometimes. So it's important for us to teach and remind them that there's a line that can be crossed when name calling and so on is being practiced. There's also social bullying, and social bullying is where a person is engaging in bullying behaviors against another person with their friends. For example, group teasing or excluding someone from activities that they may enjoy. So we're playing football with the entire class and we're not letting one person one person play. So that could be considered social bullying. And another form of bullying, which has been really prevalent in recent years, would be cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is where bullying that takes place over on the internet. So persons can feel, it may take the form of text messages or prank calling, posting of inappropriate photos, and cyberbullying has actually really been on the rise considering the technological advances that have been experienced in the world. So, and most children, when you go to schools and you ask them up to standard 1, standard 2, in some cases even the infant department, and they're about 5 years old, 4 years old in some cases, they already have cell phones. Their cell phones have cameras. They're already familiar with the networking sites and the apps, and they use them very frequently. The thing is, as much as it's been designed for their use, we also want to ensure that while they're using it, they're not hurting each other, they're not hurting themselves in the process. So bullying is a serious phenomenon, and the effects of bullying can last for quite some time. So I have my little friend here to help me demonstrate some of the effects of bullying, and it's an activity that I usually do in schools with students, and it has proven to be very effective in at least in communicating the effects of bullying. So when someone is bullied or taken advantage of, they may feel afraid, they may be lonely, feel sad, they may feel bad or hurt, they may have stomach aches, headaches, panic attacks, sometimes they're not able to sleep, they have nightmares, they become very withdrawn. And the thing is, each child is going to respond to bullying in a different way. There may be some warning signs, and parents might notice that children are actually acting differently. They may seem a bit anxious or not really eating, they're not sleeping well, and they're not even doing things that they usually enjoy doing. When other kids or when other children start interacting with them, they become very aggressive immediately, or they become very withdrawn if they're approached by other children. And it's important for parents or adults to take note of these signs, because without these signs, or without paying attention to these things, you're not going to be able to understand really what's happening with the individual. That's the thing. And it's easy to understand or to see. It's easier for persons to understand physical bullying because it's right in front of your eyes. You could see a broken limb. You could see that I've snatched your food away. It feels very tangible. It feels very real. It feels like you could touch it. However, there's also the flip side to it, where there's a bullying that's taking place that you can't necessarily see, where the person might be beating up themselves or hurting themselves because they are upset that, okay, why is this person engaging with me in this way? However, you can't tell that they're beating up themselves on the inside. So we have to look out for signs of bullying, or changes in behaviors that could actually suggest that an individual has been bullied. And you have to ask a question, because if you don't ask a question, you're not going to get the information about if they've actually been bullied or not. So if you suspect that your child is actually being bullied, you may be reluctant to actually open up that conversation, but find opportunities to bring those emotional issues to the forefront. For instance, you might see a situation on a TV show. Use it as a conversation starter by asking, what do you think about this? Or what do you think that boy should have done in that scenario? Do you think it was okay for him to hit that other person? And see how they respond. And then you could even ask them, have you ever been in this situation before? If they are reluctant to share their bullying experiences, maybe you as a parent or the caregiver could actually share some of your experiences where bullying is concerned, so that they understand it's not just them who are experiencing this challenge. It's everyone who would have experienced it at some point in time. They're not the first, and they certainly may not be the last, even though we wish they would be the last. So talking to them and explaining to them is going to be an important part of this entire thing. So I have my friend here to help me demonstrate some of the effects of bullying, and this is my friend. We'll call him Jason. This is Jason. So today, Jason, this is an activity, like I said, I use it in schools. What I do is I give the students the piece of paper with a person who's drawn on it. Yes, Mr. George is no artist, so please forgive the little drawing, but once we have the concept there, that's good. So we have James or Jason, whatever we want to call him, and it's his first day of school, and the thing is, the children in school, they don't really like him. So I give the paper to the students and I tell them, I want you all to tell Jason something negative, I want you to hurt him, and I want you to hit the piece of paper. So they call them ugly, and they call him stupid, and they call him duncy, and they call him this, and they call him that, and they beat him up, 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 and they hurt Jason constantly. So after all the students are done, and they hit, and they kick, and they cough, and they scream, and shout at Jason, I ask them how they feel about how Jason is looking now, and they say, well, he doesn't look too good, and they feel a bit bad. So I encourage them to apologize to Jason, and when they're apologizing to Jason, what they have to do is that they actually need to start opening back out the paper and start smoothing all of the little lines that would have been there. So they walk around and they say, sorry Jason, sorry, we apologize, we didn't mean to hurt you, we didn't want to take advantage of you, we welcome you into our school, all of those things. And then I give them the paper after they've done the apology, and I ask them, look at Jason, are you still seeing the effects of the bullying on Jason? And they say yes. And I say to them, it is unfortunate that our sorries and our I didn't mean to do that can't remove the scars that Jason has actually experienced because of the bullying. And when I do this activity, you actually see the changes on their face, where they almost feel responsible for causing Jason or Johnny lifelong pain. And they ask themselves, and when I asked them, I said, what do you think you could do to possibly reverse these effects? Do you think you could smoothen out the paper? Do you think you can iron it? Do you think you could wish it away? And they usually tell me, no, we can't do any of those things, because we would have taken advantage of him already. He is already going to experience that negative feeling for a long time. So I use this to teach persons that the effects of bullying, they last, and it isn't about the effects of the physical bullying only, it's about the verbal bullying and the emotional bullying, the social bullying, the things that you can't necessarily see with your eyes. So if you and your friends are actually being bullied, you want to ask yourself, who am I in the bullying scenario? And in all bullying scenarios, there are four players. First, you have the bully, then you have the victim. Well, the bully is the person who is doing the hurt or hurting the others. You have the victim, who is the person who is being hurt. You also have the bystanders, and bystanders can be active bystanders or silent bystanders. Active bystanders are the persons who will sit and they would laugh, they would clap, they would cheer, they would go fight, 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 fight. Those are the active bystanders. The silent bystanders, those are the persons who simply sit and they watch the fight that's going on. So they may be eating popcorn or they may be eating snacks. They're not contributing verbally in any form or fashion, but they're not doing anything to stop the bullying that's taking place. And because of that, children are often left in positions where they take matters into their own hands, because sometimes when it's reported, they claim that adults don't do enough about it, or they claim that when they report it, they're going to get bullied more. So how do we as adults find a good balance between the reporting of the bullying, balancing play, or being able to take their report seriously. Yeah, how do we find that balance? It can be a bit difficult, but it can start with education. Once you let parents, teachers, children know about the effects of bullying, what can actually happen to a person if they've been bullied for an extended period of time, or if they've been experiencing hurt, you are actually in a position to bring about some sort of change. So some ways for us to deal with bullying on the whole. First things first, you want to understand, why is the child engaging in the bullying behaviors that they are engaging in at the moment. And they engage in bullying behaviors for a number of reasons. It could be because they are feeling sad, or they're being taken advantage of at home. It could be because of jealousy. It could be that they've experienced failure, they're having a bad day, they didn't have their way, and these are just the day in and day out triggers that the children may be faced with. However, there may be an underlying issue that may be the driving force behind them actually choosing to engage in the behavior. So for example, you may have a child who's waking up every single day and poking children in school, or interfering with other children. And it's not just that they want to fight other children, it's the deeper or the underlying issue is that the child is not receiving any attention at home. And if the child isn't receiving the attention at home, then they're going to go and try and find the attention on the outside. So how are they going to find the attention? By poking and nagging and fighting in class, to get the teacher to scream at them, or to talk at them and tell them to stop doing that, or to sit next to them, or to engage in a different activity. And the child isn't going to conceptualize what's happening as a negative thing. They're going to just see, oh yes, this is what I have to do to get the attention of the adults who are in my life. So understanding why a child might be engaging in the bullying behaviors would help you in terms of how you're going to approach this child to stop the bullying behaviors. And when dealing with interventions associated with bullying, it's a multifaceted approach, in that you have to do work with both the bully and the victim. It's impossible for it to just be the victim's fault or just the bully's fault. We don't want to engage in victim blaming, and we also don't want to make the perpetrator feel as if they can't change in their life at all. It is possible for them to change. It's just that they need to want it, and they also have to work toward it. So let's speak to the victim first. Persons who are being bullied or being taken advantage of, there are a number of things that they can do to get help. First things first, you can say stop it. You can try saying stop it. And when I tell children in school, you can say stop it, they say, but sir, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. When you say stop it, the bully fights you more. And I asked them, I said, what if you tell them, fight me more then? They say, sir, then the bully might possibly stop, or they may fight you more. And I told myself, I said, that's unfortunate, because you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. What are you going to do? And they say, well, we could go and tell a teacher about it and see if they would help us in that regard. But then they say, when they tell the teacher about it, the teacher doesn't act on it or do anything about it. So what I would like to suggest for the persons who are being bullied, create a list of persons who you can go to. The thing is, students, when they're being bullied, or persons when they're being bullied, they usually only go to one particular person to report the instance, or they may run to their class teacher. But if you notice that your class teacher, or your big brother, or the security guard, or whoever you may be telling is actually not helping you with the bullying scenario, then it's probably in your best interest to go and ask someone else for the assistance. Always keep in mind that there are multiple people available for helping you when you're experiencing this. You also want to avoid the bully and use the bully system, using like a different bathroom if the bully is nearby, or don't go in secluded or isolated places by yourself, to ensure that the bully doesn't have a greater chance of being able to bully you without actually being seen by someone else. To the victims, you also want to act brave. You want to walk away and you want to ignore the bully. Students always say, "Sir, no, we can't walk away from them because then they're just going to follow you." It depends on where you go when you're walking away. If you walk, and I always tell them, if you walk straight to the principal office, do you think they're going to follow you? And no, they're probably not going to follow you. So I encourage them, please always walk away, ignore the bully, and tell them to stop it. Let them know that you have rights and that you're going to talk to an adult about it. There are your teachers, there's principal, there's school personnel, there are helplines that you could use that could offer some level of intervention. And though victims often feel uncomfortable sharing their bullying experiences, talking about it is a really good way to restore confidence, because dealing with bullying can erode a child's confidence, and to help restore it, you want to encourage your children to spend more time with their friends who have a positive influence in their life. Participation in clubs or sports or other enjoyable activities builds and strengthens the friendships that they would have with their peers. You want to also provide a listening ear in difficult situations, but you also want to encourage your children to highlight the good parts of their day. You don't want them to focus on the negatives that they've been experiencing constantly. And though it may seem very difficult to focus on the positives when you're having such a bad day, there is still so much that you could lose, and the day could possibly become worse. So you want to engage in that. In some scenarios, you want to engage on that upward comparison. Some days you want to engage in that downward comparison, which simply means that you're just comparing yourselves to people who have it better than you, or comparing yourselves to people who have it worse off than you. When you compare yourselves to persons who may not have been bullied before, for at any point in time you may feel bad. But if you compare yourself to someone who is bullied every single day, you might feel a little better. What you want to do is compare yourself to who you want to be, and always each day ask yourself, am I getting closer to being the person that I want to be? And if you're not getting closer, ask, what am I doing that's taking me further away, and what can I do to get me closer to that person? For the perpetrator now, for the bully, for the person who's actually doing the bullying or taking advantage, most people, or some people, have this inclination to only help the victim in bullying scenarios. But the thing is, the bully is also very much in need of help. And one of the interventions that is possible would be simply talking to the bully and asking them, why are you engaging in the behaviors that you're engaging, or trying to understand what may be happening and on a deeper psychological level. Is it that it was some form of abuse that hasn't been dealt with? Is it that the person is being bullied at home and is now actually coming to school or coming into shared spaces and exhibiting these types of behaviors because that's what they learn? And the thing is, parents have to be mindful, or guardians have to be mindful, that their actions can possibly introduce into a child's life violence. So for example, if a child at a very young age, the first form of discipline a parent decides to use would be corporal punishment, you are actually introducing violence into the child's life and teaching them that when things go wrong, or when something bad is happening, you use violence, or you hit the person to manage it. Unfortunately, that isn't going to always be the outcome, since children are the world's best recorders, but they are the world's worst interpreters, which means that they may be able to record what's happening, they remember it, but they don't understand why things are actually happening the way that they're happening. So a child who may have a lot of stress at home, or may be experiencing isolation, or may have failed a test, is possibly going to respond in such a way with violence if it has been something that is introduced in their life at an earlier stage. You also want to try and teach the bully positive ways to be a friend. Bullies often hurt other children or take advantage of them because they feel lonely and because they feel like there's no one to help them or to be there with them at any point in time. So being there for them, talking to them, showing them that that they are loved and they're cared for is going to possibly help in terms of curbing the behaviors that are experienced. So that is just a little bit of information on bullying for you all today. In the upcoming days, as we refine and we get a little more acquainted with the social media platforms, we will be hosting larger seminars, bigger webinars, and we'll be hosting a lot more web series on that are a little more in depth. Currently, what we're doing at ChildLine is we are more so engaging in some dissemination of information, but we're not able to jump too deep into the topics just yet, because we want to have a structured approach to doing so. But at the very least, we want to raise some light levels of awareness in our initial videos, and as time goes by, we will refine it, we will see what needs to be done, and we can make the most of it. So with that being said, I'd like to thank you for watching or for tuning in. Don't forget to check out our social media pages. It's ChildLine TT on Facebook, Instagram, and ChildLine TT on Twitter. We also have our website. You can visit us at www.childlinett.org, and don't forget that our helpline is available 24/7. It is toll free, confidential, and free of charge for persons who are interested in calling. The numbers, they are 800-4321 or 131. So thank you very much for your time, and I do hope that you learn one thing from this video today. Yeah, so thanks very much. Take care.